Hi, Courtney. Okay, so this is your case report. So this is what my grading looks like. So on the right side, you have the rubric, which right now has the points that you earned in it. So we'll just walk through that. So the first thing here on your rubric is heading. You had the introduction header, so you got that point. For your case description, so in this introduction, you talk about the partial skeleton being found in the woods. So if you look at the rubric right here, it says includes location of crime, missing person, position of the body parts, type of parts found, etc. So you have the type of parts found, the skull, pelvis, tibia, radius, and humerus, so that's good. You don't really have a clear, like, it's just make-believe, but I want you to be a little bit more detailed in, like, where the crime happened, so, say bush wildlife, for example. And then, so just be a little bit more detailed that, and you'll get your point back. For the forensic anthropologist, you just have one sentence that you just say the forensic anthropologist will take a deep look into the shape, angles, and cavities of bones. Give me more detail. Give me at least 3 or 4 more sentences about what the forensic anthropologist actually does. So how do they look at shapes? How do they look at angles? What specific bones do they look at? Just bulk up that portion. So right now on your rubric, you got 2 out of 4 for that. So doing that will get you, again, 2 more points back. So then we go to the summary of findings. So summary of findings were good. You got all your points for the summary of findings for sex, age, ethnicity, and height. So that's good. Sorry, this gets weird. So that's good. What you don't include though, let me make sure. Yeah, what you don't include all the way is at some point you talk about why it was difficult to do some things, or why there was like limitations with some things, but just add to that. So talk about how your lack of training, or the fact that there's variation within a population. So just add, and you can just add that at the bottom under, like, or with the conclusion. You can just write with the conclusion, this is what we concluded, however there are some limitations, and then just add those. So you could get 4 points back on that. Then the DNA analysis. So this is all you include for DNA analysis, which is your gel picture and your base pairs, what we did in the Logger Pro to figure out how long base pairs were. And looking at your rubric here, so you were supposed to talk about the DNA analysis, or the procedure of what we did. So talk about the gel electrophoresis. What did that look like? What are the steps of the gel? Like, what is the procedure of running a gel? So you could get 3 points for that. Analysis of findings. So actually talk about what this picture means. So looking at gosh, this thing gets really crazy. Actually looking at this picture right here, talk about what those lanes are, so what DNA is in which lane. So actually bullet point it out. Say lane 1 is the standard marker, lane 2 is blah blah blah, lane 3 is this and this. And then talk about what those base pairs mean. So you could actually pull this data and say, at lane 2 I had base pairs of 1170 and 167. That's comparable to lane 4, close enough base pairs of 1368 and 167. So I could compare those two and say that the DNA of the person in lane 2 and lane 4 looks similar. So those are the kind of things that whenever you're looking at analysis findings, that's why you don't have anything like that. So you don't have those 5 points. Analysis, application of concepts. As you're talking about your findings, talk about how restriction enzymes work and how they clip the DNA into specific spots, and depending on your code, it's going to clip at a specific spot, and that's how the gel is useful. So talk about the gel electrophoresis and its application with restriction enzymes. And then, so yes, if you add those things, you'd get those points back. And then a further analysis. So you were supposed to include, after your age, sex, height, and race determination, before your DNA analysis, you're supposed to say 3 things that we could do next. So now that we know that it's a 25 to 30-year-old white male around 5'8", what would be like a next step in the investigation? So you could talk about facial reconstruction, you could talk about looking at dental analysis, medical records, there's a number of things that you could talk about, and just give me about 3 to 4 or 5 sentences about each of those 3 things. So if you're looking at the rubric here, further analysis, so you want to talk about facial reconstruction for sure, and then the other 2 that you talk about are up to you. I gave you 2 examples. You can use dental records, you can use medical records. And then as far as your conclusion goes, you have just this one sentence right here. Tie in whenever after you talk about your DNA analysis and why you think it's a specific person. You have to tell me if it's missing person 1 or missing person 2. So if you're looking at the resources for 131 on the LMS, there's a document called missing persons. You want to open that up and you want to tell me, was it missing person 1 or missing person 2? And so that should be part of your conclusion. So if you add that, you can get your points back for your conclusion. And then your whole case report should be written in 3rd person. So you shouldn't be saying like I did this or he, you should be talking only in 3rd person and don't switch back and forth in tenses. So I hope that helps. Please let me know what questions you have. But that should give you a better understanding of what you need to add, hopefully. So, yeah. All right, thanks, Courtney.